Gospel singer and pastor Donnie McClurkin is being sued for allegedly sexually abusing a man for a year. The victim, Giuseppe Corletto, said in the lawsuit that he sought out McClurkin in 2003 after reading his autobiography, where he claimed God helped him to overcome the curse of homosexuality. In his 2001 autobiography, McClurkin says that his uncle sexually abused him at the age of 8, which he believed was the root of his homosexuality. Corletto says that what he thought was mentorship became grooming. Corletto became his assistant. Corletto says McClurkin allegedly started molesting him during spiritual sessions and it escalated. Corletto was 21 at the time and McClurkin was 43. Corletto said he had a hard time speaking out about the abuse because McClurkin was his mentor and his employer. Corletto says he quit working for McClurkin in 2008, but the singer continued to pursue him, according to the lawsuit. Now, in the lawsuit, Corletto said he found an email from McClurkin stemming from a 2013 incident in a Niagara Falls hotel room where he says that McClurkin molested him. In the email, McClurkin apologizes for, quote, pawning and groping a young man looking for a friendship. And he was, quote, wrong trying to force Corletto into something that he was consistently saying no to. Corletto said he discovered the email from McClurkin in 2025, which is why he's coming forward now. McClurkin's attorneys are calling the allegations, quote, categorically false. This is another tough one, you know. It's not more or less complicated than Will Smith. I don't want to put more weight on one scandal versus another based on who they are in the world, but I would just say the Donnie McClurkin accusations here are obviously a little more stirring and a little more stunning to me because he is a pastor and a gospel singer. At the same time, they shouldn't be surprising. I'll tell you why. And let me be clear, I don't know Donnie McClurkin either. So this isn't about any personal assessments of their character. It's just based on the knowledge that I have. I am a Donnie McClurkin fan. I love his music. I love his vision artistically. And I have followed his story closely. I remember reading his autobiography. I believe it's called From Victim to Victor. I believe I can double check that. But I read it, and I remember feeling sad for him. I'm sorry, it's called Eternal Victim, Eternal Victor. That's what it is. I knew Victim and Victor were in there. Eternal Victim, Eternal Victor. Anyway, Donnie McClurkin, I remember feeling sad for him. Because when I read the book, what I saw was a gay man who was ashamed of being gay, who had convinced himself and was now convincing the world that you could ungay yourself, that his sexual identity was a curse from God or the devil, or however you see it. And it was something that could be fixed through his spiritual practice. That's always dangerous. It's no less dangerous than conversion camps where they send kids to camps to ungay them. Those things almost never lead to anything healthy. In fact, I'm going to say they never lead to anything healthy. So I remember feeling deep sympathy for Donnie McClurkin because he's walking around carrying so much shame. When I listen to songs like We Fall Down, when he says, how do you live with the shame? I always felt like he was carrying so much. And the sexual abuse that he experienced, I feel awful about for him as well. I could feel the pain in the words. I could feel the pain in his testimony. I could feel the pain in his interviews. I could feel the pain in his music. And so I've always wondered how he navigated that. I won't get into the gossip and the rumors and all that stuff. I'll just say that many of the gospel many members of the gospel community and the black church community that speaks out against homosexuality. Many of those same people are engaged in practices, but doing so secretly, sometimes unsafely, sometimes dishonorably. Um, I'm thinking specifically at this moment of Eddie Long and his church, the New Birth in Lithonia, Georgia. And so we know that this happens. Um, and unfortunately, a cycle gets reproduced. Now, in the case of Donnie McClurkin, the person making the allegations was fully grown. They're 21 years old. Donnie McClurkin was 43. It was creepy, but it wasn't illegal. Um, and so, if he were, this is where the church thing comes in for me, because, and it's the same thing that happened with Eddie Long. People are looking to Donnie McClurkin or any pastor or any religious leader for guidance and safety and healing. And if this person's allegations are true, and again, I don't know if they are or they're not. Even the email that we read, it hasn't been confirmed or verified by the news outlets that are reporting it. So I'm not saying that we know it's true, but I'm saying if it is, to me, there's a specific kind of harm that comes if you're walking someone through a spiritual session while praying on them. Instead of praying for them, you're praying on them. I mean, that's shameful and painful. Um, and so while I had deep sympathy for that little boy who was harmed, young Donnie McClurkin, I'm talking about, who was harmed, being young Donnie McClurkin who was harmed doesn't give you license to become grown Donnie McClurkin who does the harm. So if it is true, this is sad, and Donnie McClurkin needs all the accountability and all that help he needs to be held accountable and to never do this again. Um, and the person who was harmed, Mr. Giuseppe Corletto, I hope for him that he receives justice and he receives healing as well. Again, we need to wait for the facts to come out, though. We need the evidence, we need the information. But this speaks to a bigger issue and a bigger problem in the church that I want to talk about. And when I say the church, I'm using the church in a kind of broad sense. Um, because I don't think it's different in other religious traditions, other religious communities. This isn't an anti-Christian comment. It's that these major religions and sometimes the alternative ones as well, they're so deeply homophobic. They're so deeply rooted in anti-gay um, rhetoric, narratives, ideology, etc., that they create no space for the queer believer. And yet they feed off and build off and extract from the queer believer. There is no black church without gay people in every branch of church governance, gay people in every part of creative articulation and expression and production. There's just no same thing with hip hop, right? There's just it's these are spaces that are filled with gay people, and yet they have to sit there um and offer their gifts while being so deeply and profoundly harmed by the people who are receiving their gifts. They're casting their pearls before swine. And to see that is deeply painful to me. And I don't care whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, whatever. I don't, it's not about, this isn't a territory about religion. I don't care what religion you are in terms of this conversation. I care about watching people be harmed, be exploited, get beaten up. And so until there is a theology that matches the realities of life and the truths of life until there is a religious practice that acknowledges the fact that, as someone is saying right here, you can't pray the gay away. Until we react to that reality in a responsible way, we're going to continue to have people who go to church harmed, abused, exploited. And instead of getting justice and healing and love and safety and mercy and grace, they're getting hurt more. And if it is true what they say about Donnie McClurkin, then this is an example of that. And again, I pray for justice. I pray for accountability and I pray for healing for everybody involved. But I also pray that our religious communities and our religious traditions look at incidents like this and see it as a wake up call that we got to do something different.